Ever seen karma spin faster than a trigger finger? Officer Travis Dean thought he owned Crestwood, swaggering up and down the blocks like every driveway was his jurisdiction. Every neighbor owed him a salute, and every so-called outsider was a threat he was born to contain. But let me tell you, the day he jammed a shotgun into Carmen Riley's face right there in the soft gold dawn, park grass still glittering with dew, well, that was the day the universe kicked off a firestorm so big even he couldn't bully his way through it. You know what I mean? Because when a man who's used to running roughshod over a whole town has to crawl for help from the same woman he tried to break, you're about to see what real justice looks like: messy, relentless, and loud enough to echo all the way up to City Hall. It started like any other morning in Crestwood sun, just breaking the tops of the maples, steam rising off fresh-cut lawns, neighbors out in old sweatshirts with their mutts. Carmen Riley, State Fire Chief, first black woman to ever earn the title, walked her brindle pit bull, Buddy, through the familiar loop, pausing to nod at the regulars. There was old Mr. Hill and his wheezing schnauzer, the Robbins twins arguing over leash duty, Mrs. Martinez doling out treats to stray cats from her bottomless purse. These small rituals, the little acknowledgments, those were how respect was measured around here. Not by titles, not by badges, but by how often you showed up for others, how you acted when nobody else was watching. But Carmen always knew respect was never assumed, especially for someone who looked like her, especially not in Crestwood, where the paint on the welcome sign was still drying over old divides. She'd worked for years to change that, one barbecue, one safety talk, one library fundraiser at a time. Still, some mornings the air felt thicker, more loaded, like the town itself was holding its breath. That day was one of them. She spotted the cruiser before she heard it, blue and white, idling at the curb, windows blacked out, presence heavy as a thundercloud. Buddy tensed. Carmen kept her face calm, hands steady on the leash, refusing to let her nerves show. The window slid down, revealing Dean to the force, jaw set, hair buzzed military short, gaze hard as river rock. He didn't nod, didn't smile, just sized her up, then Buddy, then back to her again, like he was adding up a math problem that didn't quite fit. "Ma'am, need to see your ID," he barked, voice clipped, official. "And the dog's registration." Carmen's heart thudded, but her voice stayed level. "We live right here," she said, gesturing down Birch Lane. "I'm Carmen Riley. This is Buddy. We walk here every morning." Dean barely glanced at her license, eyes sticking instead on her skin, her posture something about her that made him itch for control. He snapped the ID back at her, leaned in, voice dropping. "You new here? 'Cause I haven't seen you around." People get nervous when strangers walk the block. The meaning, heavy as lead, landed right between them. Carmen stood her ground. "Been here for years, officer. I'm a fire chief for the state. Maybe you missed the memo." He sneered. "Titles don't mean much to me, ma'am. Around here, you earn your place." His hand hovered too close to his holster. The sidewalk, wide open minutes before, now felt as narrow as a hallway. Teens at the corner pretended to scroll their phones, recording just in case. A woman peeked out from behind a curtain. "You got attitude, ma'am," Dean spat. "Don't like that. Especially from people who don't fit in." Carmen breathed deep, held the leash tight, refused to rise. "I live here," she said quietly. "I can point to every neighbor, every car. I have nothing to prove." But Dean wasn't having it. "Maybe I should write you up for trespassing. Maybe you're casing the neighborhood." He pulled out his notepad, scribbling for show. The street was frozen, every dog walker, every jogger now watching, holding their breath. Dean paced, hand on his pistol, barking louder so the growing audience could hear. "You think you're special 'cause you got a fancy job? You step out of line, you'll find out quick." Carmen straightened, refusing to be cowed. "Officer, I expect to be treated with the same respect as anyone else here." His jaw clenched. "Don't tell me how to do my job," he hissed. Then, suddenly, he exploded, dripping his pistol from the holster, shoving it against Carmen's forehead. "Hands where I can see them. On your knees now." Gasps ripped down the block. But he lunged, barking, teeth bared. Teens at the corner lifted their phones, recording every second. An older man, Mr. Bennett, stepped forward, hands raised. "Officer, that's enough. She's not a threat." Dean snarled, "Back off, old man. Unless you want trouble, too." But the crowd was with Carmen now. "We saw everything. She did nothing wrong," someone yelled. Carmen, humiliated, burned with fury and fear, but kept her hands visible, her voice steady. "If you hurt me, there are witnesses. There's video. You will be held accountable." For a moment, everything balanced on a knife edge. Then, with a curse, Dean jerked the gun away, holstered it with a trembling hand, and barked, "Get up. But don't think you're untouchable. I'll be watching you." He stormed back to his cruiser, tires shrieking as he sped away. Carmen staggered, fell to her knee, palms bleeding. Buddy licked her face, tail stiff with anxiety. Neighbors gathered, the teens handing her their phones. "We got it all," one said, voice shaking. "He can't get away with this. If you need us to testify, we're in." Carmen limped home, adrenaline crashing to exhaustion. Inside her bungalow, she bandaged her hands, Buddy whining at her feet. She stared at her reflection, jaw clenched, hair sweat-soaked, eyes burning. Then a knock. Marcus, her oldest friend, arrived with bagels and coffee, worry etched deep on his face. Carmen broke down, told him everything. "I'm tired, Marcus. Tired of being the story. Tired of proving I belong." Marcus reached across the table, voice fierce. "You don't have to prove a damn thing. You already changed this place. Don't let that cop steal what you built." Lydia arrived, next loyal, blunt, a fighter to the bone. "If they did this to you, how many others got it worse and stayed silent?" she asked, anger sharp. "That's why I can't let it go, Lydia. Not this time." Marcus nodded. "You have us. You have the community. We'll go public, file a complaint, whatever it takes." As if on cue, the firehouse alarm wailed, summoning every firefighter in Crestwood. Carmen, battered and limping, pulled on her gear, Buddy by her side, Lydia grabbing her radio. Duty called, and even bruised, Carmen would answer. The fire raged at a mansion in the wealthiest part of town. Carmen's team barreled through smoke and flame, Buddy sniffing out the trapped familia mother, two terrified children. She carried the kids out, gasping for air, the mother sobbing thanks. Carmen looked up and realized the woman was Travis Dean's wife. The children Dean's. The universe, it seemed, had a wild sense of irony. Then word Dean himself was still inside, trapped in his office, choking on smoke. Carmen didn't hesitate. She charged back in, muscle screaming, Buddy at her heels. They found Dean pinned under a beam, panic in his eyes. "No time," Carmen barked, dragging him clear, half carrying him out as the house groaned and flames snapped at their heels. Outside, medics rushed Dean away, but not before Carmen saw the confusion and shame twist his face. The crowd erupted, some in relief, some in awe. Dean, still coughing, staggered to his feet and spit at Carmen's boots. "You think you're a hero?" he barked, fury twisted by humiliation. "Coming in here, saving my family? Your kind don't belong here." Lydia stepped between them, but Carmen stopped her. "I did my job," she said. "That's all I came to do." Neighbors stared, some ashamed, some defiant. Then the second fire crew arrived, their captain saluting Carmen in front of everyone. "Chief Riley, anything you need?" Dean's face fell. The story was out. The highest-ranking fire official in the state had just saved his life. That night, the video of Dean pulling his gun went viral. Headlines screamed, "Black Fire Chief Saves Officer's Family After Racist Confrontation." Social media exploded. Support poured in calls for Dean's firing, for an investigation, for Crestwood to finally face its demons. City Hall tried to contain the damage, the mayor summoning Carmen for a closed-door meeting. "Let's keep this quiet," he urged. "We'll support you as long as you use discretion." Carmen, now with the city's best civil rights lawyer by her side, refused. "I won't be silent just because the truth is inconvenient." The community split wide open. Some rallied behind Carmen, demanding justice and reform. Others, clutching thin blue-line flags, accused her of sowing division. Tensions flared at the firehouse, loyalty tested at every roll call. Lydia was ambushed outside, threatened for backing Carmen. Yet support kept building, survivors sharing stories, teachers bringing lessons of courage to classrooms, teenagers volunteering at the firehouse. Helen, Carmen's lawyer, dug deep, uncovering years of complaints, buried evidence, even emails from officials plotting to discredit troublemakers. The FBI swept in, launching a full civil rights probe, federal agents swarming City Hall, police headquarters, the fire department. Retaliation escalated. Midnight arson gutted Marcus's home, but Buddy, heroic as ever, woke the family in time to escape. The evidence mounted: racketeering, conspiracy, witness tampering. Whistleblowers lined up to testify. When the first arrests dropped, city councilmen, retired chiefs, police supervisors, Crestwood reeled. Dean, cornered, cut a deal, flipping on his network. Carmen's testimony became the catalyst for sweeping state reforms. Under the marble dome of the Capitol, she stood not as a victim, but as a witness. "For too long, we've been told to keep our heads down," she said, voice clear and ringing. "But justice, real justice, is messy, uncomfortable, and worth every scar. And here's where I leave you, right on the edge." Crestwood stands split, old friends now on opposite sides of the street. Some waving justice for Carmen signs, others muttering about loyalty and law and order. The headlines fade, the town adjusts, but the wounds remain raw, open, and undeniable. So, what would you do if you saw injustice in your neighborhood? Would you speak up, even if the cost was everything? Drop your thoughts below. Let's talk about what justice really means, and who gets to decide when the fire finally goes out.